All right, we are online. Thank you all for attending. Yeah, had an interesting day the other day. Yeah, good old Washington had a riot go on because of Trump. Built up many months since the time of the election, telling everybody that it's a steal. They stole the election, and then suing every state that Biden won in. And then losing and all of those things, and building up more and more anger and hostility, in people, and then gathering together, and talking, and saying you can't let them steal this. You can't let them steal America. You can't let them do this. You can't let them do. He's one person standing there. To all these people, the whole of America, and he's saying, you can't let them do this, and then he starts illustrating what you should do. You need to basically go to Washington, and you need to do this now, especially today, because today they're counting the count, and they're in there right now, so he gets out and he stands there with everybody and says, this isn't going to go down easy. It's going to require strength. We can't just let it happen. So let's march on up there. I'll lead it, and, we'll behave in a way in which we let them know, that we're not okay with this, and kind of, let's go. And they went, and they busted down doors, and they got people killed, and they made Congress leave the room, leave the building, and they stormed into Congress, and they took over their seats, and they went into their offices, and they kicked over everything, and they defiled anything and everything you can imagine. And 5 people died, and probably more, as time goes on. And Trump sits in the kitchen, in a dining room, watching all this on TV, doing nothing. And yet he comes out and says, well, I contacted immediately the National Guard, and I stopped this right away. He didn't do that. He didn't do it. And what did happen was that Vice President Pence got really pissed off, realized what was going on, that we're having tyranny. This is a death threat to people here in Washington, including Pence, and that anybody could die, any one of us could die. And we really didn't prepare for this because we wanted to trust him. Pence wanted to trust him. All the people he said vote against it, as though he's going to leave them alone to do this, But instead, he triggers up all these people, and they riot in there. This isn't something I'm saying. This is something that happened. And it's not, Antifa. It's not, Proud Boys. It's not a bunch of Hitlerian people. They're Trump supporters. And Antifa and Proud Boys and all of that is Trump supporters. So including the police were Trump supporters. And it became a real problem for them. They realized that, we can't be supporting this guy anymore. We're going to have to call in more backup. We trusted him. We really thought nothing like this would happen. No way. The police honestly believed in it. And now all the people who are in charge of that are getting fired because they trusted Trump. And they were moved by their emotions. They were moved by their desperation to trust him. And it probably, as you could see, it wasn't a good idea. But I told you all this was going to happen on this day. It's exactly what I said. I'm not reading crystal balls, I'm not reading palms. I'm not a, something like that. But when you're dealing with evil and you're Buddha, when you're Christ, you're a doctor. you know, and you know the symptoms, and you know what they're going to do, and you know how it's a cult, and you know how it infects people, and what those people infected are going to do, and how you can't stop it unless you talk the truth at a very high level, which is telepathy. You know, we all have this. We all have telepathy, which is common freaking sense, people. Common sense. You know, the experience of deja vu and our little psychic experiences in our day-to-day life is part of our telepathy. We see the future at all times. At all times. Yeah? There isn't a human being on earth that doesn't get premonitions. Yeah? Just lay your head down and sleep. Your mind is open. You're going to receive. Yeah? Meditate a little bit. You're going to receive. Yeah? Go through a tragic situation. You become open and you receive. Yeah? And they become, you know, some spiritual event or some kind of thing that saved you. You know? And it's really our nature, our ability to not be caught up by Satan. Not be caught up by false illusions, delusions of grandeur that have very specific symptoms. And when they show, and in a case like this, you know, I mean, I can tell Michael Jackson a mile away. I can tell Sai Baba a mile away. I can tell every single person that's going to destroy the earth. Yeah? I can tell you exactly every single person. And what they're going to do this. And I'm right. 100% right. Yeah? But that doesn't, you know, that's telepathy. That's common sense. We're all going to grow up into this. Yeah? You're going to mature as time goes on. You know? And you're going to gather, and you're going to collect, and you're going to get a soul. And you're going to know the difference between soullessness, outright soullessness, and the selling of other people's souls. How do you recruit people and have them do what they did and go to Washington? You have to be the beast. You have to give them the mark of the beast. It can only be the beast. Yeah? It could only be the relationship of the mark. Yeah? And these people, so obsessed in it. Yeah? And yet you look at the world, the whole world goes, wow, you know, what's wrong with those people? What is going on over there in America? They've gone mad. The guy's nuts. It's obvious. Everybody knows it. Yeah? Putin laughs about it. Yeah? England, Germany, Canada, you know, they all just laugh about it. You know, but yet in America, you're hit by the beast. Yeah, and it's been an ongoing process. You get hit by the beast, one beast after another. Yeah. And you can't discern or discriminate. You can't discern even today and tomorrow. 90% of people who are infiltrated by the beast, have the mark of the beast, will still love the beast. Yeah. They'll still have enormous, you know, belief that the beast is the good guy and everything else is the beast. Everything else but that. Yeah. Anybody and everybody doesn't believe in Trump. Yeah. And at the time of Michael Jackson, anybody and everybody who doesn't believe in Michael Jackson. The beast. Same with Sai Baba. Anybody and everybody who doesn't believe in Sai Baba. If you're in India, you say, he screwed my little boy. He raped him for 2 years, and I had no idea. Yeah, hundreds of little boys. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little boys were all raped by Sai Baba. But yet not a mother, not a father said anything. They couldn't because there were too many people given the beast, loyalty to the beast. So we lost India. There isn't anything good about India. The beast has absorbed it. So many people infiltrated by the beast. Well, they all love Sai Baba, and they all love Bhagwan. Can't think of a thing bad about Bhagwan. Well, kinda. You know? All the history in America, Bhagwan. But if you go to India, they wipe all that away. Like it never existed. Yeah? He's just a religious guru, if not God. Yeah? The beast. The beast, yeah? You know, so the influence of this guy is a magnitude beyond your wildest imagination. You know, there's so many of them, not just one. But they give the same symptom. Yeah? They infiltrate people to be obsessed with the personality. The person. Yeah? Not anything spiritual. It's the person. How does he do his hair? You know, how does Michael Jackson look? How does he dance? What's the moon day? His personality. That's all they're into. Yeah? Sai Baba, his personality. He just stands there. He's a little 4'5", you know, with a big old puffy head, you know, getting uglier every day. But, you know, you just see beyond it because you're only looking at his personality. The orange robe, he's God, big head, all this stuff. You know, you bought into it as it grew to be that. Same with Michael Jackson. You can't, you still accept the fact, oh, he goes white, he turns into a white person, he, you know, all these different things. Yeah. Every single thing that each of these people do is to increase their personality. So that their personality becomes the one thing that you're absorbed in. Like Donald Trump. He got a brand. Hi, I'm Donald Trump. So he puts Trump on everything. I'm the Donald, you know. And he gets on TV and he does all these things. It's branding. Yeah. That's the beast. If you can buy into the branding aspect of it, just the personality, you have no intuition. You lose all intuition. Because your personality, that's all you are. And personality is attracted to personality, and it creates this mega star or fantasy person that is bigger than life. Yeah. And we do that to movie stars, we do that to every human being just as a personality because they put a certain hat on. And they wear that hat all the time because it's part of their personality. Yeah. Yeah. Even Trump, he's got to have orange hair, orange face, you know. I don't care if he's 500 years old, he's going to still have orange hair, orange face. Yeah. He's got his Trump stigma. He can't, ever since he was 20, he's been combing his hair that way. And it's an interesting way because he bonds it specifically to become a brand. This is me, I'm Trump. Nobody else wears their hair like this. And you go, God, nobody wears their hair like that unless they're bald. You know, it doesn't make any sense. So everybody's thinking he must be bald. But he's just old now, and his hair is thinning, yeah. And he's not really bald. He's just a character. And you fall in love with characters because you have no intuition. Does that make sense? That's the world we're in today. That's it. That's our problem. Yeah. Whether you're in Iran or Iraq or in Italy and you see a priest and he put his priest clothes on, you go, oh, Father, thank you. Oh, what do you know? You know? Oh, my God, there's the Pope. Holy shit. Oh, wowsy, wowsy, there's the Dalai Lama. Holy shit. Yeah. And there's just like, what? Only one Dalai Lama? Not a whole bunch of, we don't know many. All the people in Tibet, and we only know one freaking teacher of Tibet. Something's wrong. That's the major group of teachers on the planet, but yet we only know one. How is it possible? How could that be? Yeah, because he's a false prophet. False prophets are personalities, and make sure you only look at that one personality despite the reality of what they represent. And whether it be the Catholic Church, well, sorry, we only have one personality. Yeah. Yeah. And they don't even have Jesus anymore. They have one personality, and that's Mary, because she's a person. Jesus is an avatar. They can't represent Jesus, but they can represent a personality. Yeah. And that's how the beast works. It's a lesser light, a lesser truth. It's truth, but it's a lesser truth. So if you put a character and blow it up and you get delusions of grandeur inside of it, it's all done by glamour, smokes and mirrors. Yeah. It's all done in front of your eyes because you may have only one or two senses that you're witnessing the smoke and mirrors. It's like you go to a movie or you go see a magician and you go, ah, did he really walk on water? You're in a magic act. He's a magician. You really think he walked on water? Yeah, I can't get it out of my head. Yeah. Yeah. It's the beast. It's an act of delusion. Yeah. And it creates an illusion. Yeah. And you're not picking up the illusion. Now, what's behind the thing? What is the purpose? Yeah. As a magician, the purpose is to hide the outcome of the magic. Yeah. So sleight of hand, hidden pockets, assistants that hand things, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It's an illusion. Yeah. But the illusion, you don't get to see. It's the purpose. Just like a magician. There's a lot that goes on, a lot of practice, a lot of intention, a lot of build-up to be a good magician. Same thing for a person who's an actor. Yeah. You got to be a really good liar. You got to be so personality-oriented. And so okay about lying that you can act. Yeah. And you can play any part and be really realistic. Yeah. And if you go to acting school, the teacher will tell you that you're just building personality. Yeah. You're building a character. Yeah. You're allowing yourself to get into character. Yeah. And then as they go into it, they teach, allow yourself to be taken over by this person, by this being. Yeah. And now express it. You're not yourself anymore. And they've seen this in Stanford. They did a test, or university test, psychology, on groups of students and see whether or not clothing alone and the position in your life would change you as a person. Yeah? Would it change your character? Would the character actually become you? And yet it's a character. And you honestly believe, I would never do that. I would never behave like that, never think like that, act like that, say those things. You'd never do it. Yeah? Yeah. But then they found out, they created this false prison sentence situation. People were guards and people were convicted and people were authority. Yeah? And people were put in position of submission. Yeah? They were submitted to all kinds of things. They couldn't do anything about it. Yeah? They'd have their mattresses taken away. They'd have their pillows taken away. They'd have them do things, in order to create, power of authority. And those were the police. Those were the guards. They built this up in their nature. They were given no scripts. They weren't told this is what you need to do. You had to be a mean person. You got to bang keep them up all night, do that sort of thing. No scripts were given. They were just saying, you're the guard and you're the person in jail. But after a while, the character of meanness and aggravation and being in charge, the character began to build. And these people didn't have any control over it after it was over with. And they left the event, and days went by, and they look back on it and go, oh my God, I cannot believe it. And there's film documenting this process. And when people look back on it, you know, who were the guards and saw themselves screaming at people, you know, and they never did such a thing in their life. Yeah. It was the clothes. Yeah. Yeah. The clothes makes you. Yeah. The attitude makes you. Yeah. It's the beast. It's the process of lower nature. We believe what we see. Yeah. So we can make ourselves up to be something that we're not. Yeah. And disguise ourselves. And even be a really low life person. And yet deep inside we're a really good person. We're a really high person. We have really wonderful standards. We have morals. We're everything God would want us to be. And we are that. We are that. Yeah. But the personality doesn't want that. Doesn't believe in such things. Not in another person, let alone yourself. Imagine that. You look out at other people, and how often do you think, you know, and then witness the goodness in that person, you know, the simplicity, you know, things of that nature. You know, your process is that you don't know what you're going to get, and your lower nature keeps it in that process. You know, so bad things can come at you. People could say things, do things. You get on the phone, you ask for help, you want to get something done. You know, the person's aggressive. The person's not complimentary. The person is doing, you know, shit that's bothering you, and you can't understand why this is going on. It's because of personality. Yeah. Yeah. So there's hardly anything in the process of the world that's not based on personality. So when we're in a world that we're not trained, we're not taught, we're not brought into developing our telepathy, recognizing the fact that telepathy does exist, but it only exists in the element of truth. And truth is really hard to get to, yeah, because of this character process. Yeah. The first untruth is that we're supposed to build this character. Yeah. How are we supposed to defend ourselves from that? You know, dad's a banker, been in the military, mom's a housewife, grandma's a housewife, great-grandma's a housewife. You know, how are you going to change these characters? You know, a lot of anger and all of it. You know, unrequited soul, unrequited love, yeah, unrequited aspirations, yeah, unrequited goals, yeah. All these things Grandpa went through, yeah, Dad went through, yeah. And all that is part of that character, yeah. And then when we reincarnate, and we have no idea that we have this process of reincarnation going on. And we have no idea that reincarnation could be a really wonderful thing, you know, really bring out an enormous amount of balance in the world, you know, if it's blessed. If it's blessed, if people are blessed, yeah. And then through the process of blessing, people are transformed. It's called transfiguration. Yeah. And this is part of the science of Christ. Yeah. It's not something you can go to your doctor to or go to your church to. You don't know anything about the science of Christ. He's a doctor? No one said that. He's the doctor. Why don't anybody ever say such a thing? We don't even know the guy. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's because of this personality. Imagine you want to be a scientist. Well, what if Jesus is the greatest scientist of all scientists? And because of his existence, he emanates out with humility, those qualities creating scientists in the world. Yeah. Simply because he exists. Yeah. And every single field that we move through, yeah, from science or medicine or engineering, yeah, compassionate actions of caring and sharing, you know, every single thing we move to could come from the soul, yeah, the influence of the soul. And they're not personality oriented, but they're the gifts that are found in the personality. Yeah. So people are in science, people are in all these different things, and they're moving through it, and only because they're overshadowed by Christ's soul. Yeah. And that brings us into a world. Yeah. And we are moved into that world. And slowly but surely, this is a blessing. We don't know the blessing. We don't even know that it's coming our way, that it's creating all these things. Yeah. Yeah. Just a couple of days ago, we had a riot on Washington, and you know, in America, we're going, wow, that hasn't happened in a long time. We had a civil war that was really bad. But what happened in that civil war? Yeah. You know, why was it bad? You know, it's mainly because there was slavery. And before there was a civil war, there was an action of separation of the states, creating the union. Yeah. And the union was established in the northern states. And they created another country and separated themselves from the already existing states that were manifested after 1776. Yeah. So that separation created two countries. Yeah. And it was totally based on slavery. And it's because in the northern states we had industry, education. We had the manifestation of the soul. And a lot of people were getting educated. A lot of people were moving from, oh, my father's a lawyer, oh, my father's, does shoes and this and that. We all were freed from that. It was an experience that no one ever witnessed before. Leaving their country, leaving their caste system, and find themselves in maybe Philadelphia or the upper side of the United States, where we're building industries, we're creating new technologies, yeah? We're creating, here comes the car, here comes all these things are coming out of these upper places. The flying airplane, yeah? The motorcycle, yeah? All these things was industry, yeah? And people were getting educated, and they were reincarnating, and they were above. And the ones that were reincarnating but carrying out bad behavior, they were farmers. Yeah? People who didn't want industry because industry destroyed their livelihood. Yeah? It's a totally different world, like us thinking, oh, technology, we want to go back to nature. You know, scary. You know, but one is the soul, and the other one is personality, character, and keeping people in a place to where we don't move forward. Yeah. So at that time, we had a relationship where all of a farming relationship was based on the reality that we didn't have to pay wages to our labor. And that way we had good economy. And that was our industry. God in the machine. Yeah. We saw people as machines. Yeah. And that was our religion. Yeah. It wasn't a real religion. It was a dogma. It was a bad way of looking at things. Bad way of utilizing people. It was very, very, very wrong. Yeah. And it had a lot of hate and a lot of prejudice and a lot of wrong things that had to do with the vices. And all those vices were built up down south. Yeah. And they created the willingness to kill black people, the willingness to kill immigrants, destroy immigrants, wipe away immigrants. Yeah. Any of that. We don't need it. We don't want it. Yeah. And all that was down south. Yeah. So everything that was being worked out was coming out of the higher mind. And the higher mind was influencing the reality of the building of the United States. But there was constantly a personality process going on to keep the United States from moving forward. Yeah. And that same process came back when Trump came into office. Yeah. He represented the same exact experience that was going on all the way back to the time of Lincoln. Yeah. when Lincoln took office, he took office during the time when those states were separate. Yeah. And there was a union that was built up, and they had their own president. They had their own Congress. They had their own government. Yeah. And this had been built up, started in Virginia, over here, all of these areas, Texas included, all these areas were all a country. Yeah. And they were going to, they wanted to win, wipe away, democracy. Yeah. Yeah. So that influence, that process was carried over into the election of Lincoln. So Lincoln became the first president of the Civil War. Yeah. So he's recognized as a defender of slaves. Yeah. Simply because he's from the North and they're from the South. And he really is a defender of slaves. Yeah. Yeah. But the process is that these people are so angry they believe that they're right. And they're like Trumpians. Yeah. They believe they're right. So it is so intense they create a civil war. Aunts, uncles, cousins fighting against each other. Yeah. Why? Because they chose sides. Are you with the Union, or are you with the blue or the gray? Yeah. Yeah. Same as Trump. Same thing. Reds or the blues. Yeah. And they're going to steal the states. That's exactly what they said during the time of Lincoln. You're going to steal the states. He's stealing the states. And that made everybody angry. And they said, well, we have to kill him. Yeah. So because he was voted into office, because he represented the other side, like Biden, he was shot. Yeah. What's the chance that a group who would go in and kick down the doors, break the glass, go through Congress, and have 5 people killed, all under the jurisdiction of Trumpians, people who are under the cult of Trump, yeah, thinking that the place was being stolen, so they're stealing it back. They're taking it back. They honestly believe that they were taking it back, and they were representatives of the United States, and this is the real group. Yeah, everybody else is a conspiracy and evil and wrong and bad and everything you can imagine. Yeah. So all of that came into play and worked itself into on the 6th, on the very day that all the way from the time of President Lincoln to the time of the electoral votes, the need for the electoral votes, and the transference of one to another, one president to another, all those things were generated back during those times, and it's been kept all the way from there to here. Yeah. So Civil War was like a clearing, a healing, of this kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's a character. It's about a character. Has nothing to do with us as a soul. It has to do when someone like this, Trump, someone from a previous life who was a character. And when they come back, they are under their manifest destiny, which is the same thing that happened in previous life. All these false prophets, the Pope, the Dalai Lama, all of them believe they are fulfilling destiny. They all believe it. Ask them. They believe they're under the power of God, that they are chosen, and that they are fulfilling destiny. And for that reason, they're willing to take lives. Yeah. In order to create peace. Yeah. And those were the words of Lucifer when God was trying to stop him. And he actually tried to make God out as being the bad guy. Yeah. Yeah. That's how character relationship it was built. So then when the fall takes place, they fall because they become Luciferian. They get the beast. And they go with the beast. And it becomes a horrendous scenario between heaven and earth. Forever. Yeah. Well, we have the same thing going on in the soul or the personality. Yeah? So when we're dealing with Trump, we're not dealing with, some simple thing. We're on earth. We're on a temple of God's creation. Yeah? This place is heaven. Yeah? Created by God. We have birds. We have trees. We have animals everywhere. Yeah? And then we have Trump. And now we can't see the birds or the trees, and we don't want to take care of the animals or anything because we're confused. We're overwhelmed in emotional, oh, I believe in him or I don't believe in him. That's the only thing that matters. Yeah. And the influence of how you see, whether or not there's ecology or a need for a vaccine or a need for a mask or a need for doing anything to help another person do the right thing, is all on the side of the beast. Is keeping you from doing it. Every single characteristic comes out. And you can't explain it. On the other side, you got intuition, telepathy, and you're agreeable. Yeah? You cooperate. Yeah? Because there's always God trying to work out this problem with the beast. Yeah? And everybody, just thinks it's normal everyday shit. But it's not. Yeah. I incarnated here in 1951. And there's Hitler and Mussolini and everything had just had their heyday and died. Yeah. Been busted. Yeah. And that's because in Tibet, I had gone through thousands of years of dealing with what you're dealing with today. Yeah. I have gone through the revolt of the Dalai Lama, the relationship of this has been going on for over 1,200 years, just the Dalai Lama scenario. Yeah? Just those incarnations over there. And these are people that are master, telepathic, capable, but then there's also demons and people who project very dark forces into society, and they create cults. And that is in Tibet. Yeah? A lot of Tibet is that way. Yeah. So you would have one white lodge and you'd have a dark lodge. And everybody here in America or Europe or wherever have no idea this is what goes on in this place. Yeah. So they see pictures, and they go, oh, looky there. Isn't that place something? The Potala. Wow. But you have no idea that was taken over in the late 50s and no longer was Tibetan. And you're aware of that. You're aware that it's been taken over. But so was Washington, D.C. on the 6th. Just the beginning. Just a character statement. And who was the characters that did this? Felt that they had the right to walk into Tibet and say, this is ours. This is ours. Yeah. Yeah. As though they had the right. We've been there for a very long time. It takes a long time to build that building. We had thousands of them. Millions and millions. More people than in America. Yeah. We were so many people. Yeah. And we filled up Bhutan. We filled up Nepal. We filled up India. We were teaching everywhere at a higher level. Yeah. But we still had the same problem you got here in America with false prophets. They come in, they delude people, and from that, we lost Tibet. You can single-handedly see that it was the Dalai Lama who lost the negotiation with China. There was a Panchen Lama, there was a Dalai Lama, there was Karmapa, there was all these major masters, hundreds of them. Not just one singular guy. But since it was one singular guy who did it, once he was exiled, now he's recognized as the only guy. And not recognized as the guy who caused all the problems. Yeah. We don't even know anything about the Panchen Lama. We know nothing about that poor guy. Nothing. Yeah. But yet he was the highest, most well-known teacher of Tibet. Yeah. You don't want to end up in this. scenario. I know where I'm coming from. I know what I've lost. Yeah. It's beyond your wildest imagination. And it happened to me. Jesus Christ. Yeah. And now I'm in exile, living in America, and I'm watching it happening to you. The same thing. And you know, I'm here because I can, you know, you can't say I can protect you, because look what happened to Tibet. I tried my best, but I was made illegal to reincarnate by the Dalai Lama. And that weakened things for over 500 years. 500 years, my incarnations were never recognized. Yeah, from the time of the fifth Dalai Lama, all my incarnations were never recognized. Yeah, you know, so I'd come and I'd have to start over again, all over. Yeah, no recognition of previous life, no students that I carry from previous lives. You know, which is always the case. Yeah, and you get to grow very quickly, you know, by recapitulating from those previous lives. But he made it illegal for the Karmapa, for me, for Shamar Rinpoche, all of my disciples. We were made illegal. Yeah, you know, so it's, you know, when you're dealing with this level of evil, you know, that affects the whole, to where we lose the whole country. Yeah, and China absorbed Tibet, absorbed it. Yeah. So now today you can't really, in any real legal way, call Tibet other than Tibetan China. Yeah, authorized by China. Yeah, and major other portions of China is being taken over that used to be major areas of Tibet, but now they're completely taken over as being only China. And deep inside, like Potala and, you know, certain areas where it was Dema and other areas that were primarily Tibetan, deep within the regions of Tibet, it's hard for China to say that's China. You know, so Potala and other areas like that are allowed to be recognized as Tibetan, as Tibet. And the country is that old. They allow it. But, you know, trust me, people, you don't want to end up like this. Yeah, and you will. You must do something about this. Yeah. The only thing you can possibly do, you know, is realize this man is going to do it again. He's going to do it again. He's going to go up for president again. And this crazy-ass place is going to go through a revolution again. And aggression and hostility will come again. Yeah. And the only way you can stop it is by clarifying the fact that this man has broken so many laws that he's unqualified to be the highest person in America, the most noble, respected representative of America. You have to come to some clarity. This is going to be a big one for everyone. Yeah, because you have the beast right in front of you. I can't get Tibetans to do this with me for the Dalai Lama. They won't do it. You've seen them suffer. You've seen them suffer. I told them they were going to suffer. It was my thing. I came back, Dorji Chungden. You know, I reissued the process of the blessing. You know, and that affected the Dalai Lama to go crazy over making, again, my life as Dorji Chungden is illegal. And he wrote books on it and everything. And this is me again, you know? Yeah. So it's really difficult for me to help out Tibetans and say, hey, you know, you should pull away from the Dalai Lama, because I can't stand up and say I'm the reincarnation of Tsongkhapa, Dorji Chungden. I can't do it because this man made me illegal. Yeah. So that's really difficult, yeah, to make changes for millions of people in Tibet, millions of people. But yet that doesn't mean that I won't try. I will go to Tibet. I'll be enthroned. I'll go to his house. I'll build my stupa to save my people. Yeah, and yet I don't get to teach. You know, I don't get to meet everybody. They don't get to know that I'm literally alive, because he won't allow it. He simply won't allow it. And if you continue down this path, here I'm now externalizing in America, and I'll be externalizing throughout the world. I'm going to help you out in this process of you being taken in and getting the mark of the beast, and have it impossible for you to get rid of that beast incarnation after incarnation. You will incarnate with the beast, people, I'm telling you. You'll reincarnate. There's so many people right now that were alive during the time of Hitler and Mussolini. Yeah, not everybody died during those 40s. Yeah, and they were in their 30s. Many of the people, the soldiers who were following Mussolini and Hitler, were in their 30s, in the 40s. Yeah, so take a look at that. 30. How long do people live? To about 70, 80, tops 90. So this is a whole bunch of people who did not die, who were followers of these people. They didn't die. They just went mad. They got angrier. They continued their ridiculous pledge. Their leader was gone, and there was nothing that would change them until after they die. So here in the 40s, they're like 30 years old. You give them another 50 years or 40 years, and then they die. So that's 1940, 45. So now we're talking 1985. Who the heck was born in 1985, 1982, 1983? Millennials. The people known as millennials. The people who are rioting in Seattle. People who are burning shit. People who are followers of Trump. People who are followers of Hitler and Mussolini. People who loved Michael Jackson. All of that influence comes back in reincarnation. And that's just that millions of people come into that process. So they go to Venezuela. They go, because this is where they came from. They go to Italy, they go to Venezuela, they go to Spain, they go to Europe, they go to America. Because this is where the next phase of Hitler or Mussolini is going to reincarnate and continue the process of creating delusions of grandeur against democracy. The whole thing is about democracy. China right now is saying, look at America. That's the outcome of democracy. Democracy doesn't work. Every communist country is looking at this situation and going, see, it doesn't protect you from dictators and crazy people. It's a false, delusionary way of going about business. Democracy. You people need to be controlled. You need control. And that's how China does it. They say democracy just does not work. You can't allow people to have that much freedom. Dangerous. That's because they are the beast. And they have life after life after life that carries that. So this is really big. This is a lot of energy that is going to manifest. And I'm right against it. I'm right against China. I'm right against the Dalai Lama. I'm right against the Pope. I'm right against our president. I'm up against all these people. I'm not, and almost all my teachings, I hardly ever leave any of these people out. Because until the day they die, I'm responsible for making sure they don't harm any of you. And that's hard to do. Because everybody's got the mark of the beast. And it's really hard, until you come across me, until the influence of what comes from the soul and then heals you enough to where your ability, everybody's got this ability to be a follower. We all tweet, we all go to Facebook, we all text, we all, follow people because we're personality oriented. And we get off, our ego, first thing in the morning, who's tweeted me, first thing in the morning, who, all this kind of stuff. And that is the beast. It's not like technology is the beast, but your personality is. Yeah, it leads you to the process of these other personalities you're not aware of. And we're in a world that needs to teach us about this. Yeah. If we're not taught about it, you know, because I'm teaching about Trump in order to illustrate prophetically what's going to happen. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that's going to happen. We have nuclear war coming up. That's always a good one. Yeah. Iran, China. Yeah. Both those places are focused upon nuclear war. North Korea, big time, focused upon nuclear war. What's the big difference of those countries of all the other countries? They're 100 million% anti-democracy. 100 million%. So who is it they want to kill? Very specifically, you know, North Korea, Americans. Yeah? Iran, Americans. Yeah? Why? Why Americans? What's wrong with the Spanish? You know, Mexicans maybe? How about the Italians, huh? Haven't they done you any harm? How come Americans? How come Americans? Democracy. That's it. Democracy follows Jesus Christ and Buddha. It's the teaching that comes from God. Yeah? And it's a promise given by God that if we behave, yeah, and we take the Ten Commandments and we work through those things, we will receive Christ, a second coming. And that second coming will heal this scenario that we're in. Yeah. And that's through the process of the Christ. And Christ can only come at a certain time. Yeah. And this is that time. So we have all of coronavirus going on. Yeah. So imagine coronavirus, you know. No one thought that we would lose, 400,000 people dead today. 400,000 people have died up to today, just in America. But widen the scope of your understanding. 1 million people died in the world. Of that, 400,000 of them come from America. Now, just go back a little bit in your mind. What did I just tell you? Why are they attacking America? You can call it a coronavirus, whatever you want. Yeah? No one's dying faster than us. Because we have the worst beast in the world that hates democracy. Yeah. And all the others. China hates democracy. Well, where did that coronavirus start? And what happened? Did they tell everybody? Did they warn anybody? Huh? No. Yeah. And if it had started in Iran or any other place, they would have not have warned anybody. Yeah. But, this is not a coincidental reality. We're not in a fantasy. We're in God's world, and we need to learn. Right now, we have over 400,000 people who have died as of now. Today, over 4,000 people died of coronavirus. Yesterday, over 3,400 people died of coronavirus. Day before that, over 3,200 people died of coronavirus. Day before that, over 3,000 people died of coronavirus. Now just think about that. What happens? Now this is going up. Even though we got vaccines, forget the vaccines because we're not getting the vaccine. It's out there, it's happening, but we're really not getting the vaccine. Yeah? People who run ambulances are not getting the vaccine. Doctors are not getting the vaccine. Old people are not. 2.5 million shots of the vaccine, first shot, has gone out. 2.5 million out of 350 million people. So in the United States, we're up to 400,000 people have died. In the world, we've had 1 million people die. So we're close to half of the people in the world who have died is from one continent, the United States. Yeah. And it's solely because our president, yeah, who's non-democratic. It has nothing to do with him being Republican or anything. He is against democracy. He's against it. Doesn't matter if he's an American. Just because he's an American doesn't make him an American. Yeah? He could be evil as shit. Yeah? When you're evil as shit, you're not an American. You're just another evil person. Yeah? Yeah? To be anything, anywhere, you've got to be kind, the good, the true, the beautiful. You've got to be that. To be anything. If you're in Mexico, you want to be the good, the true, the beautiful. If you're in Spain, you want to be the good, the true, the beautiful. And if you go to those places, that's exactly what they tell you. That's what we expect from each other. The good, the truth, and the beautiful. Because we're going to get that. Yeah, if we behave and if we trust each other and we're good to each other and all these good things. Yeah, we all have this soul. It's an intuition, a telepathy. It's there in us. Yeah. But in the United States, if we keep following this delusionary process, you know, where we cannot discern and discriminate pedophiles, crime, you know, people who are obviously raping women, raping children, and getting away with it, go to court, like Michael Jackson, pay off 5 or 6 or 7 little boys, yeah. And people just go, oh, it's only because, what? The little boys wanted to claim that he raped them? Yeah? And they wanted money because he's rich? Yeah, that really doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. Greed would certainly be a part of something like that. But these are all little boys who loved Michael Jackson, adored him. They were his best fans, to the point that they would be willing to have sex with him, and did. But then that wasn't right. Yeah. And they told their parents. And it got pretty messy. Yeah. So he had to deal with it. And the parents were willing to take $10 million. Yeah. Because the kid didn't have legal rights. But the parents did. So then it looks like the parents set this all up. They're the ones who's taking the money. So all of you people out there are going, yeah, that's what's going on. Everything a spin. So that the pedophilia can continue. I mean, if it would have reached you and you learned that these boys were 11, 12, and 13 years old he had sex with, or kids who claim to have had sex with him, that's bad. That's really bad. Yeah? And there's no amount of money that you can go into a court and pay this parent to make it okay to have sex with your kids. And now you're legally are binded to never go to trial against me. And I'm going to go on have sex with more little boys because I am the richest guy on the planet. Well, you imagine that's not the way Trump thought too? And because he's a playboy, and we just figured, well, that's what playboys do. And oh, well, Michael Jackson, he loves little boys. That's what little boys do. Can you imagine how brainwashed all of you were 20 years ago compared to now? You're not as brainwashed as you were then. Yeah, because you're more intuitive. Yeah. But now you have a mass number of people who are in a cult, influenced by the beast, who's willing to kill. Willing. Yeah. I told you before that this president will kill 2 million people by the end of 2021. 2 million people will die. Yeah. We're at 409,000 people right now. Yeah. We're in January. February, we will reach 500,000. Now, in 30 days, Yeah, a little math here. Yeah, 30 days at just 3,000 people. Right now we're doing 4,000 and up every day. But very conservatively, if we look at 3,000 people times 3 is 90,000 deaths in 30 days. 90,000 deaths. Not 9, not 1,000, but 90,000. That's 30 days. That's 1 month. Now we're in January, and we have 12 months till the next January. Yeah? Well, let's just multiply 10 of those months. Times that 90,000. Well, by golly, we have 900,000. And add one more month, we've reached another million, just like we did in the year now. Yeah? We're at 400 and some odd thousand. Yeah? By next year, we will reach a whole million out of a year, plus 400 and some odd thousand. Yeah. 1.5 million people will die in America by next January. And that's because you had Trump. He's programmed all of those people out there not to wear masks and to be violent against their rights, being subjected to not being able to go to work or have the freedom to do the things that they think they need to do, because they're all aggressive and all upset. And that process that they've been trained to do, is going to get worse because they lost their president. We stole the election. So all of America is going to be subjected to aggressive, hostile, hating people who will not take the vaccine, who will not wear a mask, just as a violent, aggressive act against society because you didn't agree. You stole the nation. So we're in deep shit. Yeah. There's very little we can do. We won't get cooperation. We'll just get more people stampeding courthouses when court says, no, you must wear masks, and no, you cannot go to work in these particular fields. And people are going to come out and get violent and aggressive. Yeah, there's no way around it. You know that little Trump's going to get his own tweet, and he's going to go from one WhatsApp or whatever thing you can think of to keep going on. Yeah, because he is dumb, but he's not ultra dumb. He's going to figure out tweet isn't the only tweet. There are hundreds of them. Yeah. And he's just going to keep filing through, hoping that he can muster up a lot of people to be ready for 4 more years, from now, unless we do something. Yeah. We have to really, really do something. Yeah. Because imagine here we had this guy.
Alexander Treisman downloaded thousands of images of child pornography. But they say searches of his devices showed he bought a rifle last spring, got within 4 miles of Joe Biden's home in Delaware, and posted a meme online with this caption, "Should I kill Joe Biden?" Court documents say Treisman was obsessed with mass shootings, including the 2019 attack on mosques in New Zealand. That he wrote about shooting up a food court and had a video about hijacking a plane and flying it into a building, and drove to the site of the 2017 mass shooting in Las Vegas and recorded himself saying, "That's where they did it. Nice."
Many mass shooters are obsessed with events like Columbine, his acquisition of multiple firearms, his extensive travel, all indicate to me he was on a trajectory for mass murder.
Treisman faces child pornography charges only and has pleaded not guilty, but federal law enforcement officials say they believe he was intent on carrying out some kind of mass shooting.
Yep. So we'll probably let him go. Because, it's just the way it is right now. Discernment, discrimination, the whole trip. It's very interesting. We have here, check this one out. During the time that Trump, in this election, you know how the beast, these people are the beast, right? So that means that they themselves have to possess you. If you're a Biden follower, they believe they can control you by saying so. And then from that point on, you have no more power, and you're now a Trumpian. Yeah, check this out.
We got you.
This is straight up voter intimidation by Trump supporters.
Trump, whether you like it or not.
In the posh LA area known as Beverly Hills, he is allegedly taking down people's license plates.
You got no choice. You cannot resist Trump. We got you.
To potentially harass them further. Mandating the woman in this car cast her ballot for Donald Trump. This is not democratic. This is not a republic. This is a Klan rally masqueraded with Trump flags.
Voter intimidation reported at the polls on the first day of early voting.
But it's not just here. It's already happening at the polls.
You got to watch your polling booths because I hear too many stories about Pennsylvania, certain areas. So go and vote and then go check out areas.
Because their leader called for these practices in 2016 and now in 2020.
Watch those ballots. I don't like it. You know, you have a Democrat governor, you have all these Democrats watching that stuff. Be poll watchers when you go there. Watch all the thieving and stealing and robbing they do.
The thing is, it has already begun.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully.
And then this is the effect of his little groups stramping through the White House.
At 2:46 p.m., protesters breached fencing along the Capitol grounds and confronted police lines surrounding the building. Multiple individuals forced entry into the Capitol building and attempted to gain access to the House room, which was still in session. They were confronted by plainclothes U.S. Capitol police officers, at which time one Capitol police officer discharged their service weapon, striking an adult female. She was transported to a local hospital where, after all life-saving efforts failed, she was pronounced deceased. Her identification is being withheld at this time pending next of kin notification. As of 9:30 today, we have made in excess of 52 arrests, 4 arrests for carrying pistols without licenses, 1 arrest for possession of prohibited weapon, 47 arrests related to curfew violations and unlawful entry. 26 of these 52 arrests were made on U.S. Capitol grounds. Additionally, 2 pipe bombs have been recovered. 1 pipe bomb from the DNC, another pipe bomb from the RNC, a cooler from a vehicle with a long gun in it that also included Molotov cocktails. This also was on the grounds of the United States Capitol. Additionally, there were 3 other deaths reported today from the area around the Capitol grounds. 1 adult female and 2 adult males appeared to have suffered from separate medical emergencies, which resulted in their deaths. You should also be aware that at least 14 MPD officers have sustained injuries during the demonstrations. 1 member suffered serious injuries after he was pulled into a crowd and assaulted. He is currently hospitalized and undergoing testing for treatment for his injuries. 1 officer received significant facial injuries from being struck by a projectile and is also hospitalized.
He was hit by a fire extinguisher, right square in the head, nearly killed him.
Current response to the pandemic. The IHME projects that given current interventions put in place across the country, the death toll will surpass 410,000 by January.
On the Capitol in horror, the COVID pandemic on Wednesday claimed the lives of nearly 4,000 Americans. That is the most deaths we've seen in a single day since the start of the outbreak. And tonight, the U.S. death toll tops 364,000. We get more now from CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti.
In Southern California, it has come to this. Hospitals on the verge of rationing care.
The hospital system is bent about as far as it can bend.
LA County's Methodist Hospital is so overwhelmed with COVID patients, it's now assembled a triage team that would ultimately decide the fate of those critically ill.
Unimaginable decisions that would have to be made to deny care to people who need it because there's not the resources available. We have not reached that stage. We're on a pace to get there.
This as more refrigerated shipping containers head to Southern California to store the dead. Tonight, a more infectious strain of the virus has now spread to at least 8 states, officials confirming the first known cases in Texas, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. So far, more than 5 million people have received the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. In an effort to speed up the rollout, Florida's governor has converted Miami's Hard Rock Stadium into a large-scale vaccination site, and local pharmacies in select states have begun receiving vaccines this week.
As of tonight, nearly 1 million people have died of the virus. As David Aiken reports, there are warnings the global toll of this pandemic could get much worse in the next year.
Around the world and here in Canada, protests against COVID-19 restrictions. In Madrid Sunday, thousands in a working class neighborhood protested lockdowns that had shut down businesses.
These are people protesting while people are dying. Yeah. 1 million people in the whole world. Yeah. And in America, we're doing the same. You know, people protesting. Yeah. Going to the streets, protesting. You know, while people are dying. Their hospitals are full. Their emergency rooms are full. People are suffocating with ventilators and dying. People are not able to meet anyone while they're dying. It's the worst way to die. Millions of people are going to die this way. It's worse than war. And when you die this way, your reincarnation is going to super suck. It's going to be so traumatic, its process of being able to trust, to be cared for, to sense any sensitivity of love. Very difficult, yeah, because you'll have died in hell, yeah, without anybody touching you, no one you know looking at you, yeah, and you're inside your mind, you've gone mad, yeah, every night you go through death, yeah, talk to these people, take the time, you know, look on YouTube, listen to these people. Listen to what they're going through. Yeah, there isn't a person who survived through it that didn't go through enormous psychological trauma during and after. For years. Right now we're in the first year of it. And there are people who are suffering all year long from the debilitating aspects or the mental aspects that go on from the trauma that happens from going through death and death and death and death nightly until you finally get out. And then it's over with, you think, and you go home and you're still having these death experiences. Anxiety attacks, you cannot breathe. It's really beyond your wildest imagination. And no one is imagining any of this. Yeah. You still got a crackerjack idiot president who says not one word about the virus. Not one word. He doesn't mention how many people have died. He doesn't mention anything. He doesn't talk about the vaccine, even though mainly because it's not out there. It's not being distributed. Yeah, there's no organization process. It's not being paid for properly, quickly to get it out there. Yeah. So many things are holding this thing up. Check this one out.
The risk of infection right now, it's higher than ever. And the pressure that's putting on hospitals and first responders here, it's crushing.
This morning, for the first time since the pandemic began, more than 4,000 deaths confirmed in just 24 hours.
We have had a situation where we now are averaging between 200 and 300,000 new infections per day and between 2,000 and 3,000 deaths per day. Every day is a new record for the number of people hospitalized with COVID-19.
added up, yeah, just the small amount of 3,000 people per day, yeah, between now and a year from now, we're just going to, like a clock, we're just going to keep living, going by the next day. But when you wake up, there'll be 4,000 people who are dead. Yeah. And on that same day, another 4,000 people are going to die. And you're enjoying lunch. Yeah. Enjoying the day, but you need to wake up. You need to be 100% aware of how these people are suffering and that it's growing. And that means we really have to be really, really diligent on cooperation, because it's that lack of cooperation. It's going to Christmas, Thanksgiving, traveling, meeting with friends, and pushing ourselves to meet in streets, yeah? And in colleges, go to college, go to school, come back home. And then we wonder how it is the numbers are going up. 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 every day. That means if there's 4,000 people dying every day, 4,000 people, that means that there are 20,000 people in the hospital in process of dying. They won't die for another 2 to 3 weeks. And we'll hear that 2 or 3 weeks from now. But the numbers in the hospital keep growing. But the people in the hospital keep dying. Those offer more beds. This sucks. Yeah? This isn't about politics, yeah? It's about cooperation. Yeah? Being totally understanding the reality that when the whole world, any part of the world, is not cooperating in this, and I said this in the beginning, yeah? We are on two sides, yeah? We either are of the soul or not of the soul. If we're not of the soul, we're going to stand up and holler, we want to carry a gun, and we don't want to wear a mask. Yeah? It's real. All over. All the United States, other countries, it's all over the place. These are vigilante people who do not care about other people but themselves. Yeah? And this has been going on a long time. Yeah? We have to do everything in our power. Everybody has to do everything in our power. But here we are in America. We are democracy. So we have the ability to use every means to help people better understand that we need to cooperate, and that the real reality is that we're being pressured into an illusion, where everything gets all exciting. Like, oh, you stole the votes. I told you they'd steal the votes. Yeah? And the reality is that he knew he was going to lose. There was no possible way he was going to win. So he was simply building up for a fight. And he was going to use you to carry out the fight, not himself. Going to use lawyers, going to use you to fight. And it ended up the way it did on the 6th. When the end of the vote had to come down to a crystallized reality of whether or not we're going to elect another person and not dispense in the electoral process. Yeah. I mean, that's just crazy. That's amazing. That's so dictatorial. It's so non-democratic. Opposite, 100% spin on the opposite of democratic. Yeah. So we need to learn from this. This is God's way. God creates accidents. God creates horrible scenarios that happen in our life. All of those things are the betterment. All of them, whether we like it or not. It's how we deal with it. Yeah? If we fall down that rabbit hole and we think everything is hateful and we can't trust anybody after that, and we fall into that and keep that up, we'll lose. Yeah? We will lose. But how you deal with hardship is what makes you stronger. Yeah. You know, so we got to deal with the fact that all these people did wrong. Yeah. And it's all caused by this particular individual. We need to clear our heads so that we can get down to the nitty-gritty of actually putting homosexuals in jail for the perversions that they carry out in the recruitment of young children and men and women. That it should be illegal for men or women to cause another person to carry out a sexual act under delusion, under duress. Yeah? Because once you carry it out, even rape, once you carry it out, that woman could have a baby, and that woman has to carry on the process. What made this happen? And the only thing they can come up with was me. I did it. There's something wrong with me. Yeah. So there should be a law against this, people. It's in the 10 Commandments. Yeah. But we've taken those 10 Commandments and made them 1,000,000 commandments. Broken them down into itty-bitty little categories. Yeah. And we're totally unclear. Yeah. We think in totally other terms than what the law should give us in intuition and telepathy and allow us to carry out proper direction to keep things from happening. So right now, we think it's perfectly cool for Kardashians to be Kardashians, for them to turn a man into a homosexual who totally doesn't believe in homosexuality and have him change his body into a woman. Imagine you're in the Kardashian family. This is the archetype of female, gregariousness, just the total, if there was a glamour, they're all about it. And glamour is about blowing up, making things blown up, bigger than you can think. Yeah. So here you have any of the Kardashians. They've been blown up to be whatever your desire body thinks is great. Yeah. But there's nobody there. You could see them as kids. You could see them grow. And they metamorphically turn into this through plastic surgery and many other forms in order to become this being. Yeah. And we have no idea. This is where we're at. Yeah. This is our process. Yeah. And we have an enormous amount of glamour that moves through our society. And all that glamour, everything that we're dealing with is hidden. Yeah, it's not part of our consciousness, our understanding. Yeah, so we think football is perfect, and we think basketball is necessary. We think that baseball is made by God and angels, and we think that all this stuff is just natural. Yeah. And that the creation of a Kardashian is natural, totally natural. And that for her to end up with a guy like, West, who's nutty in a fruitcake, the nut of all nuts in all the music industry. Everybody knows he's nuts, right? Everybody knows he's nuts. But he's also a cult artist. So that's part of being an artist. Yeah. It's the craziness, yeah. So you accept that sort of thing. Yeah. And then he's so rich and all these things, so him being with a Kardashian kind of goes. Yeah. But those realities are all a part of the beast aspect. What we think are things that should be going on. Yeah. They should be going on. Like baseball, basketball, rap, music with delusions of grandeur that, of every kind, where people just go into and pay $100, $200, $500 for a concert. Yeah. Or they go in and pay $1,000, $2,000 for seats, at a baseball game, at a football game. Yeah. And all this money, all this energy, all manifested in the illusion. Yeah. And it's all built up, bang, snap, hits the ball. oh, it's a high fly, you know. And then the guy's got to talk, you know. Hey, it's going over the, you know. Can't believe his batting average is something. You know, yes, sir. He's coming up. You know, Joe Nimmy's coming up. You know, got an average of 42. Yes, sir. Always has that ball, you know, on the right hand side. You know, something else. You ought to watch him. Watch that boy. You know, yeah, I've listened to a lot of shit. Yeah, yeah. My parents were 100% into sports, into everything, and they were crazy. I was not. Yeah, I was never born into it. I never had any relationship to any part of it. But that's me. It's my previous lives. You are what you were built up to be, you know? And it's not so much you as it is the people around you. And if you're not strong enough to make yourself an independent individual, you know, that isn't moved by cults, you know, isn't moved by magazine articles or seemingly famous people who everybody says is the best, you know? But you don't know this person. How do you know whether or not they're the best? Yeah? Yeah. So all of that is a buildup of our sixth ray, buildup of our solar plex. And we're all in this suffering because of the buildup of that solar plex. It's going to have an outcome to it. Yeah? And it's explosive. It's war. It's destruction. And that effect goes into the earth. Yeah? The two are the same, you know. Why is it America gets more of the coronavirus deaths than any other place on earth? Yeah. Why is it America that's so interested in making sure that the earth is saved? Yeah. Why did we have Native Americans? Yeah. Every other country had natural, native aboriginals. But what's the difference between the aboriginal Native American and the ones you find elsewhere? Quite a difference. Yeah. Quite a difference. And the influence of the makeup, it comes from the land. Yeah. And the relationship of the land, if you take right relationship to it, the merging of heaven and earth takes place. Yeah. And we're the caretakers of earth. Caretakers. We don't own it. Yeah. It's not our right to sell it or buy it or think we own it in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. We have nothing. Yeah. We come with nothing. We're going to go with nothing. We're going to go to heaven. Yeah. And then heaven's going to bring us back here. And we're going to be in this life on earth. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. But this place has an enormous glamour, influence of glamour. And our only way out of it is through cooperation. And we have to cooperate through the trials, the difficulties that we go through. We have to come to a point of discernment and discrimination and be attracted to the right teachings that helps us through those difficulties. Yeah. Keeps us from going into some kind of aggression against another person, thinking that we're being, you know, harmed, you know, that we have to defend ourselves. Yeah. When in reality, if we look at the whole world has coronavirus, and the whole world needs to share, and the whole world needs to get their vaccine, and the whole world needs to cooperate. Or we have to stop getting on planes, and we stop going across borders. Yeah. And we have to actually stop doing a whole lot of things to push countries to actually control themselves. Yeah. Stop this virus. Yeah. Yeah. No longer any of this stuff. And it goes all the way from your government official to your, you know, like here we have Portland, government officials. People that are in charge of Seattle, government officials. And those people are wacky and they're wrong. And they're so off in their wrong ways of looking at homosexuals and LGBT, and all of it is established there. It's at that point that your politician or your group or your society is going wrong. And that's Earth. Here we are, a human being, a perverted human being that represents Earth. That means the Earth is going to be perverted. And all the outcomes, how that will happen. How might it happen? Would it be a nuclear war? Would it be a devastation of riots of people destroying the cities? Would it be unrest and people beating people up on freeways when they stop and they get angry and they drive crazy, and do all the things that they're doing? That keeps growing and growing, and we see all this crazy ass shit going on. Yeah, and I wonder how. Why is that happening so big in England? Neighbors are beating up neighbors and throwing rocks in windows and doing the most insane things. Totally insane. You cannot justify the reasoning behind any of it. Yeah? Because it's purging elements coming out of the earth. Yeah? The shit we do goes into the earth, and it has to come out. And it comes out into people. And people behave as though they're imperiled. And they get into a conspiracy. They think the neighbor's out to kill them. They think any of this. Yeah? They think this woman wants to be raped. All those elements get into people. And those are glamours. Yeah? And we have to stop putting that shit into the earth. Yeah? And the only way we can do that is you need to listen to me. There are 10 commandments. 10. Yeah? 10. Not 4, not 3, not 2. We need to do this. Yeah? We need to put this little guy into a relaxed state. Yeah? We need to relax him. We need to throw him to the ground. Put cuffs on his feet, cuffs on his hands, stand him up, and walk him wherever we want. Sit him down wherever we want. Yeah? He's not in charge. He is the vilest, most inhumane person on planet Earth. And there's a lot more. There's people in Iran, there are people all over the earth that are a part of this. But I'm telling you, if you get the head, if you take the head and you seize it and you don't let it do whatever it wants to say, put something over its mouth. Put it inside of a room that has no tweet, has no phone, has no lawyer, comes once every few months. Yeah? Bring it down to where this person no longer can permeate, because you need to be aware of imperil. The words a person says affects you. And this is a very demonic being with powerful words. He's created towers and buildings and all the imperil of New York. Why would New York be the #1 place that would die the most when the virus came? Because that's where Trump comes from. That's his surrounding area. What was the next worst place? Florida. There was no way out of it. The imperil that sits there. Yeah? And you can't get rid of imperil without releasing it. And you can't release it without grabbing it. You have to grab it. Yeah? And it still keeps pushing, it still keeps doing whatever it wants. Yeah? But it can't go anywhere, and it can't do anything, it can't express itself. And expression is the #1 thing you must stop in the process of a demon. Yeah? If you're doing an exercise, and the key to the exercise is that you have to know the name of the demon. That's my job. I know the names of the demons. Yeah? I know who they were in the past, and I can call them out. And I'm doing that. That's why all this shit is going on. Yeah? But that process, like if you're at an exorcism, when you call out that demon, guess what happens? The demon screams back. Yeah? And gets really pissed off at the person who recognizes it. Yeah? And really starts going crazy. And starts controlling people. If there are people in the room during an exorcism, a 90% chance they're going to be possessed in the process of the exorcism. So you want everybody out. Yeah. 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 So in this process, when this is going on, all this is going on, both the Dalai Lama, the Pope, look around. See the world of the Dalai Lama and see if he's getting exercised. He is. Yeah. See the world of the Pope. See if he's getting exercised. He is. And he can't run from it. All of his wrongness is coming back at him tenfold every single day. Every single day. Yeah. The doors of hell are closing, people. Yeah. And it only happens through your cooperation. Yeah. You have to wake up. Yeah. You have to one day go, oh, I wonder what they're saying during Mass, during the process of, the Pope's great Mass. That word Lucifer. Why does he keep saying that? What is in that prayer? And after a while, people come to a point and they go, I would like to hear that in English. I'd like to know what it is you're saying over there. Yeah. And as time goes on, we get to witness. As time goes on, we get to witness the Dalai Lama. Yeah. And we realize, Dorje Chundan, that's not a bad person in past. Never was a bad Dorje Chundan. Previous lives of Dorje Chundan were the highest beings that ever lived on earth. So it's just like Trump. It's a lie, and they talk and they say things, and they make you believe it, because you cooperate with those elements of people who are in charge of your soul. In charge of your soul. The Dalai Lama keeps you from your soul. The Pope keeps you from the soul. Yeah? Yeah? Trump keeps you from the soul. They make you do things that are so less. They make you carry a rosary and say, Mary, Mary, full of grace. And yet she's not full of grace. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with Mary. Where's Jesus? Yeah. Where's the Ten Commandments? Where's homosexuality when all the priests are gay? Yeah. Where's the law? There is no law, because our process is that we're inside of a situation, yeah, that's being healed. And you need to wake up to the process of the healing, because that's where, in my work, I'm the doctor, so I create the healing. The healing creates a healing crisis. Yeah. And no one can get away from the healing crisis. No one. So I'm going to tell you what the healing crisis is. We're going to lose 2 million people in a 2-year period. So wear your masks. You may be one of those people. The likelihood is really high. Yeah. Don't be one of those people. Yeah. Use your intuition. Do not travel. Even if you want to travel, don't travel. Yeah. Stay at home as long as you possibly can. Yeah. It may take 3 or 4 or 5 years. Yeah. But that doesn't matter. The main thing is closing this door and saving the human race. Because if we don't behave, because we didn't behave, we're going to lose 2 million people. If we had behaved, we would have lost more than 100,000 people in the whole process. Yeah. But this isn't going to close off in 2 years. 2 years is the amount of time it takes to get the vaccine to everybody if we're on time, if we push. Yeah. But look at the situation. Look at the outcome. We do not have an outcome where the vaccine is getting to people. So we have a much greater chance of this going on for 5 years. Because we have to take the vaccine twice, not once. We're having a hard time getting the first vaccine. Yeah. By the time they get the next one to us, we will already had antidoted the first one, because you have to take it within a 2-week period. And none of you know any of this shit, and that's really sad. Yeah. And they're going to keep it from you. But I'm going to, every week, I'll lay this stuff out. But you must understand this is worse than you should even consider. Yeah. There are masses of people who are croaking. Masses. And the people outside the United States are suffering because of the United States. We don't have a travel ban. And we have the largest number of people with the virus, and we have no travel ban. How's that possible? How can we go anywhere, Canada, anywhere? How can we travel from state to state? How's it possible? How is that being allowed? Yeah. But everybody's going, what's he talking about? More, no, shut that man up. Yeah. Because this is a real reality. We need to take responsibility. Because if we don't live in the soul and do the right thing, then we're on the other side, and the outcome of death and pain and suffering, which is the goal that's going on right now, and we're in it, and we got a guy who doesn't want to not be president. He wants to continue this terrible scenario that's going on 4 more years, if not many lifetimes. This guy's no joke. He's serious. He's hostily serious. Yeah. And that affects our judgment to be able to discern, discriminate, and do the right things. Yeah. So just know, we are not in a place to where we get maybe 100 people die a day. Yeah. We have 4,120 that died today. We'll have over 4,000 tomorrow again, because these are people who are hospitalized, who are dying. Yeah. And the numbers that are in the hospital are so packed there is no room for anybody. So that means masses of people are in process of dying. We bought massive numbers of coolers to put dead bodies in Northern California, because people are dying in California a lot. Because for some reason, people want to drive down to San Diego or LA as though nobody's dying. Doesn't matter. It does matter. Whether you get it or not in that process is an irreverent, imperiling, subjective situation you're doing. And you're weakening every other person's decision to make the right decision around you. Yeah. So doing the right thing, just like speaking and doing, it has a causal relationship to it. And the reason why we're dying so much is because people are not taking full responsibility. Yeah. And it's really necessary. Yeah. Not full responsibility to complain, or full responsibility to wear your mask down below your nose, or things like that. That's total irresponsibility. Yeah. To the point of harming people. Yeah. Massively. Yeah. So it's intensely important that we utilize this. We have one more process we have to deal with. We have the 20th of January, which is when Trump is no longer president, and he's not going to go to the inauguration or anything like that. Yeah, his plan is to begin going out on buses and touring and preparing the world for the fact that he's not gone, and that if you want to make decisions in your life, you can come to his big rallies, and you'll receive direction as to how to live your life and behave, and go against any senators, mayors, or anybody that he doesn't like, and start voting out our American process of democracy. He's going to spend the next 4 years doing that. Yeah? Unless we push everything that's possible, and this has to be in your mind. You have to kind of see him going to jail. You got to see him in that process, You need to see him. Yeah? He is not worthy of anything else other than what he's going to get, because he's the guy who does this. He's the guy who rapes little girls. He's the best friend to demons. The biggest demons we've ever known in America. He hangs out with them. Yeah. Until the man was busted for pedophilia. Then he felt, well, that's dangerous. I shouldn't do that. And his wife made me feel violated during sex. Yeah. That's his nature. But this is your nature. Yeah. Every human being's nature, their nature, are these 10 commandments. That's our nature. Yeah. And we shall not have no other God before me. No Trump, no Michael Jackson. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. But the problem is you don't have a God at all. So that leaves a real empty space, a demigod. You still are looking for God. You're still looking for something that gives you that experience. Yeah. Yeah. So then you get Michael Jackson, or you get anybody, a movie star. Yeah. 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 I'm just a Buddha. Yeah. Jesus Christ reincarnated. Really boring. Yeah. I'm the same every day in every way. Yeah. There's nothing about me really changes. Not a thing. Yeah. I say the same, I talk the same, my voice stays the same, my look stays the same. Nothing about me really changes. Yeah. But humanity has a process where their lower mind controls the makeup of who they are and what they're going to be and how they're going to turn out. Yeah. And that's not our nature. Our nature is the 10 Commandments. Yeah. And my nature is the 10 Commandments. Yeah. I'm so into my Father. Yeah. I know my Father. I know God. Yeah. I know purpose. Yeah. I know the science. I know the outcome. I know the cause. Yeah. And all these things that I know are common if you don't break the law. Yeah. In any of those laws, if you break any of those laws, any of them, yeah, it leaves you open. Yeah. All of them are the strengths of our purpose of incarnation. Yeah. Imagine, you look at this, you got 10 commandments, right? No other God before me. Yeah. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Yeah. So imagine you got anything, yeah, whether it be a really neat car, super dupe, yeah, finest looking car you've ever seen in your life, yeah. And if you're blind, you know, you're thinking, oh my God, I gotta have that because that's the best. That's it. That's, you know, now you gotta have 100 of these things and you got all this kind of stuff going on, yeah. And that's demigod worship, materialism, yeah, an image, yeah. And that image gets you going, yeah. You can go from one image to the next, yeah, because you don't know what it is. It's just something of the 10 Commandments that you're breaking, yeah. And then you go to the next thing. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, yeah. And that means vanity, yeah. The relationship of yourself, yeah, and then your wrongness, yeah. And you identify that that's being part of what God is. God makes me rebellious. God makes me like this. Yeah. God made me the prettiest, the strongest, yeah, the best. Yeah. And then you think you're Michael Jackson. Yeah. Or you think you're Trump. Yeah. Yeah. Shall not take thy name in Lord God in vain. Yeah. Because they can't even go there. Because they themselves, their ego, their self, is as much God as they can handle. And then remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. There are no holy days in the process of the law. And when we're in regular life, we don't know anything about a holy day. We have Easter, we have Christmas, we have New Year's, we have our birthdays, we have things like that we celebrate. And all those things are pagan. Yeah? And there's no holy days. Today is not a holy day. Tomorrow's not a holy day. Yeah? Now we make them holidays. We go on vacation or something. Yeah? So there's no Sabbath. There's no holy day. Because we understand that. We understand that we are in a rotation of time. That everything inside this reality is blessed by God. It's created by God. It's order. Yeah? It's God's discipline, which is consistent. Yeah? 24 hours in a day. Consistent. It doesn't flip up. We don't get 25 tomorrow. We don't get 8 today. We get a consistent reality. Yeah? So all of this is part of that part of getting to understand the Sabbath, because everything is connected and it is orderly. Yeah. And then the honor thy father and thy mother. So imagine, you incarnate, you're either male or you're female. Yeah. And we don't know L, B, G, D, E, F, K yet. Yeah. We don't know a homosexual wants to wear a bra. We don't know it. Because they're just wanting it. They're not doing it. Yeah. So we're not aware of that sort of thing. Yeah. So all of that being hidden, yeah, we're in this place, honor thy mother and father. We come from a place to where we incarnate through our mother. Yeah. Requires a father. Yeah. And in most cases, it usually requires love and affection and a plan. Yeah. You want to have kids? Yeah. How many? 3. Great. So do I. Yeah. Okay. Let's finish college. Okay. So we get through college. We have 3 kids. Now we have 3 kids and we're going through life. But what if, there is no honor of mother and father? Because we have all this other alternative lifestyle going on. Yeah. What if I should be interested in a guy, open-minded, open sex, open relationship. Yeah. Yeah. No relationship to what it is. Yeah. You're a boy, you're a girl. We have children. This is how we do it. Yeah. And it's not an intellectual thing. It's nature. It's part of nature. Yeah. So honor thy mother and father. We get into that. This is a law that moves forward, right? Okay. Now we've been born. Yeah. Thou shalt not kill. Right? Yeah. So here we are. We've been given life. Honor thy mother and father. Why? Because we've been given life. Yeah. And now they're going to feed us and clothe us, and keep us calm, keep us okay during troubled times, colds, flus, hardships, whatever, But that's the process of the family, is that it's part of that conflict of life that through this 10 Commandments, we get through it, yeah? And it's easy. It's really easy. It's kind of like the democratic reality of the dream of America. Yeah, the outcome. Yeah. So honor thy mother and father. Thou shalt not kill. Yeah. Well, here we are. We're born. Yeah. We're living. We're a child. Yeah. But what if some asshole dictator comes in and says, well, we got to kill all your children like Herod. Kill all your boys. Wow, that struggles with 10 Commandments. How does that work? Well, I just got to do it. I got to do it. How do you deal with that? How do you psychologically deal with the breaking of the law? And done in such a way that my God, they rip the kid out of your hands and kill it. Yeah, and you have no way around it. This happened to thousands of kids during my birth as Jesus. Yeah, so that's part of this 10 Commandment thing. You do that to break the 10 Commandments when the coming of the Lord takes place. To break the 10 Commandments. Yeah. And then, thou shalt not commit adultery. What happens if your heart is broken? Yeah. What happens if you're a mom and a dad and you have a kid, and now some dictator, asshole, shithead forces you to send that kid to a war that person believes is necessary? And they got to go kill someone because this dictator's a killer. Yeah, just like Trump. He's a killer. And he wants other people to be killers. Yeah. It's the only way to go through life. This is all breaking down the 10 Commandments and destroying everything. Yeah. Thou shalt not commit adultery. We're weakened. Our heart has been broken. We no longer love our mother and father. Yeah. We no longer love them. Yeah. We no longer appreciate, the birth that was given, the clothes that was given, the time that was given. It's not easy to have children, whether you're wealthy or not. It's a hardship. Yeah. And if it's done well, it could be the kindest, generating, loving energy that could ever come your way in a life, where you can't trust it outside of the family. The family becomes really a cocoon of love and protection and caring. That's what the 10 Commandments is based on, is to bring this into the world. It's the only way it's going to happen. This is not an experiment. Yeah, the experiment is homosexuality. The experiment is that I can kill someone and get away with it. The experiment is I can kill what's in me and get away with it. Yeah. The experiment is taking every one of these commandments and twisting it to your satisfaction. That's the experiment. This is no experiment. God does not change. And because that law is unchanging, we literally have a life ahead of us that is God's grace and an outcome that is beyond your wildest imagination, because we lose all the guilt. We lose all the pain and suffering. We lose all that it is that brings all this terrible, unsatisfactory life. All the homelessness, all the poverty, all the suffering of little children being raped by grown-ups. All of that. And all the people that are in prison that feel that they'll never get out and that they're the worst people on earth. No one would ever love them or care for them again. Yeah. And it's got to stop. I love everybody. I will care for everybody. Doesn't matter what you've done. Doesn't matter how it's done. Yeah. There's a way out. Yeah. I'm showing you how to get Trump even to be saved. Yeah. You got to change your own mind. But he's broken all these commandments. Yeah. And that makes you weak. You're not going to break these commandments. But you're in a world of broken commandments and homosexuals with flags that turn the 7 rays of God against you. 7 rays of God. You don't even know those teachings. They come with Christ. So they take the flag of the Antichrist and flay them right in front of your face. And yet you have no way of reacting because you don't know. Yeah. That the Christ is 7 rays of God. Yeah. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Yeah. Imagine you're a pervert and you want to have sex with a little boy. Yeah. So as a pervert, you go through what you need to do. You go become a Boy Scout. You become a scout leader. Yeah. You become a coach because that's where little boys go. You become a priest because, you get all these little boys that can hang out with you. Yeah. You get all of this. Yeah. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. The priest rapes you. Well, what does he say? Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Yeah. So that's false witness. That's false witness. Homosexuals. They're homosexual. But what maybe brought that on? That's false witness. Yeah. And they recruit because they have a desire body. And they can't get rid of it. They can't stop it. And they seduce many, many men and women and children. Yeah. Just to increase the numbers of homosexuals. Not for love. Yeah. But for numbers. So that the community of Seattle can say, hey, look, we have 5 houses of homosexuals. Yeah. Or San Francisco can say, we have 400 houses of homosexuals. And we own the whole part of the city. Yeah. You come here, you're going to get queer. It's true. That is exactly how it works. And then thou shalt not covet. Covet. Yeah. What does that mean? It leads all the way back up to adultery. It leads all the way back to killing. Yeah. It leads all the way back to honoring your mother and father. And doing the Sabbath. And having a God. Yeah. Covet just completely allows you, to like if you're gay, all you do is covet. That's all you do. Yeah. You change your voice. You change your mannerisms. Hi. Why do they do that? Yeah. They covet. They covet. They want the guys to know he'll be a girl for you. And an easy girl. Most girls say no. Not gays. Gays are the easiest sex object you'll ever come across. Yeah? Covet. Easy covet. Yeah? So that's the process. That's our 10 commandments. And each one of those are a relationship of whether or not we have heaven on earth. And it's all based on democracy. The entire 10 commandments is democracy. The outcome of democracy. Your soul. Receiving the blessings of God. Maintaining this. Imagine you maintain the Sabbath. So at least one day out of the week you're resting, because 6 days out of the week you are holy. Holy. You were serving your mom and dad. Yeah? You were serving your neighbors who were of need, whoever was of need. You're doing that all week long. Joey needs his car fixed. Okay, I'm out there. I'm fixing it, man. Joey can't fix a car. He can't afford to fix a car. 6 days. You're working, providing food for your family. You're doing all the things you need to do, but it has to be done in God's name. Knowing that this is coming to my family. This is feeding my child. This is going to make my wife healthy and non-stressed. Yeah? And I won't think, well, because my buddy has a bigger car and all these kind of things, I have to have those things. So those coveting qualities, if I cut those down, if I do not behave this way, then we will be minimalist. And we won't think in terms of why is it rich people have this and why is it all these things are based on the breaking of the 10 commandments. Yeah. So it's easy to get back to, right? Easy. It's really easy. I mean, you can't imagine how easy this is once we're back into the right reality. It all comes back. And you just need to be healed. And that requires the presence of God. The first thing. Yeah? And God wipes away the devil. God clears the land of homosexuality. I don't care how much you like it. I don't care if you like the flags. I don't care if you think everybody has the right. I don't give a shit. I really don't care. Because the outcome of it is a destruction of the 10 commandments. because you cannot carry on the 10 Commandments in that lifestyle. Can't do it. Which of you is a mother and father? And which of you will have the baby to continue life? In this life over here, where only there's girls together and only there is boys together, I'm telling you, we're in the tree of knowledge. Yeah? Where all humanity has fallen and fallen out of grace. And this is the group that takes you there. Yeah? They were there from Cain, from Babylon. Go back and study it. They were all gay. All of Babylon was gay. The fall of every nation was due to homosexuality. Every nation. Yeah? They didn't just destroy their complex of psychological conditioning and understanding. They destroyed their physical body, creating diseases that are now known as miasms, syphilis, psychosis, tuberculosis. All these things that we all are dying from in weaknesses come from homosexuality in the past and present. And when we allow it into our life, we change our social conditions to not include God, because all of a sudden it's up against God. Because every one of these gays go, well, I don't like you because you like God. You believe in God. Jesus says, I'm not to be like this. And they're absolutely right. I do say that. Yeah? And they get all upset in terms of people who are going to say, I'm Christian or anything. They oh my God, I'm out of here. Yeah? Unless you're a gay Christian. And then that is only for recruiting. Because there is no such thing. No such thing. Yeah. Yeah. So we're in a deep, deep, deep chasm. Yeah. We think we have to legalize homosexuality. We have to allow pedophilia. Slowly but surely, the P will be put on LGBTP. In 3 years, they are going to go, they have already done it. They put up petitions and put in laws to begin connecting the dots so that men and women have the right to go to schools or other playground areas, view and take pictures of children for their own desire, to fulfill their own desires. Now, I've got lots of video on people who have been asked and put in court systems because they do that. They go to schools, they go to places, they take cameras, they get questionable shots. Kids are coming down the slide, playing games, bending over, anything that suggests sex. Yeah? And they take those and they either sell them or use them for their own desire. Yeah? But to me, that is part of pedophilia. And that's projecting very much terrible imperil into a very simple child. And they should not have that in their world. We shouldn't allow it. We should have discernment and discrimination and understanding. We can't keep building laws that allow us to put books in schools to say that it's okay for two men to have sex together and to have a family. No, we can't do that. Because in the Bible, it says mother and father. And we have to have reverence in relationship to that and God's plan. Now, this is an alternative plan, and it's not God's plan. So they get all pissed off because God doesn't include it in his plan, and very specific about not including it in his plan. So they get very irate, very upset about it, and they become atheists. Almost all homosexuals are atheists, wannabe Christians, yeah, but primarily atheists because they're hell beings. They take on the life, they live it, and they begin the process. Yeah. So we have to move. We have to change all this. And everything that I'm saying, these are all like in the Word. Trump does his word shit. Well, that harms you. Yeah. My word shit does not harm you. It liberates you. It gives you soul. Yeah. It vitalizes you. Yeah. You may not want to hear it, but it's something that's going to ring true in the future. And you're going to see the future is a part of God's vision. Even though it's not good, I'm saying 2 million, 1 million, 500,000 by the end of this year. Like I've been saying, all the dates and all the time and all the numbers is exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. And it's really not going to change because we have this inevitable scenario going on. But as time goes on, change will happen because I'm saying these words, and it evokes and invokes, and I am 100% not going to change these words. Yeah? And they are going to slowly but surely stabilize all 10 commandments to resonate as the law, and the law comes from God, not man. It comes from God. That's a big difference. And the Lord God's Son has to be incarnated to be the illuminating light of the law. And there's no way you can follow the law unless the Lord is incarnated. So that's the process. Yeah. So clear your heads, make sure that this understanding that I'm putting out is coming through you and transmitting out past you. Yeah. That's called cooperation. Yeah. Nothing inside you goes, oh shit, I'm a demon. Oh shit, I got these problems. Oh shit, well, I'm sorry if that comes up. It will not come up later. Yeah. Because you'll be cleared from it. Yeah. And there are people that have done you harm. And that's the only reason why that energy is there. Not because of your harm, but harm that had happened to you. Yeah. So relax into it. Let's pray. Pray, 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 pray. Okay. Okay, so this prayer is, if you take this prayer and receive it, and you realize the situation about what I say is, thank you for bringing me here, that helps you understand that you do not have free will. You do not. Your free will is to be the will of God. And you may think, well, that's part of the free will. I got to choose whether or not that happens. It's not true. The free will part of it is the will of God. It's all free. It's natural. It's your nature. Yeah. You are a child of God. Yeah. So this situation is that I ask you to open your heart and let me inside. Yeah. Because I created that. Yeah. And that doesn't change. Doesn't change from the beginning of time. It doesn't change. No matter what happened to you, it doesn't change. So we start with the first commandment. I am God. Yeah. And then Lord Jesus says, Repeat after me. Thank you for bringing me here. That we're connected together. And this creates that beginning of the ceremony. Whether it be the Sabbath or your ability to take a right relationship with people, not kill anybody, not covet anything. All those things are gone because it's really not your nature. It's not your nature. But it only gets released if you realize the Lord God is the one that's doing it. And you got to really realize it. So it takes quite a bit. So I say this invocation to help you understand by you saying, thank you, thank you for bringing me here. Because this is it's a specific prayer invoked specifically for my reincarnation. And it allows you to take a relationship to that reincarnation. And I'm going to be here forever. And for this, the law is going to be established. And I'm going to bring everybody into the law. And this is how it's done. And it happens naturally because we do not have free will to be evil. We have free will to be a child of God. That's nature. We can't go outside of it. Unless we're introduced by the devil. Seduced by the devil. And then all these things that it says don't do, you do. Just like the Lord says, don't eat that frickin' apple. Don't even be attached to it. Don't think it exists. Don't see it. But then here comes the devil, and the devil says, you notice this apple? What? Oh yeah, it's a nice apple. Wouldn't you like to try some? Nothing in your mind are you thinking. Nothing in your eyes are you seeing. But it's not until you're seduced do you begin to see. Does that make sense? So it's really important you understand this thing about thank you for bringing me here. It's the very beginning of you being able to receive the Lord in the reality of the Lord. Because the Lord is in heaven and earth. And that process, the Lord wants to bring heaven to you. Because the Lord's in heaven and earth. When you leave this place, you're going to meet the Lord. While you're here, you're going to meet the Lord. But that only happens if I bring you to me. I don't have a lot of students, because I will this. It's not a personal will or anything like that. It's just the way God works. The will. And it's not a personality thing. It exactly is what it is. So patience and all these virtues have to be aligned for the will of God to actually manifest. It requires all these virtues. So your will and God's will, or the outcome of today, is exactly as God wills. And that brings everybody here. Everybody. When we do this prayer, we're including every living human being in this process to be received, because I'm externalizing out to call people to me. And it's not you, it's me. So you're saying, thank you for bringing me here. And I'm saying, yep. Good idea. All right, so let's do this. Repeat after me. Lord Jesus the Christ, thank you for bringing me here. Lord Jesus the Christ, I open my heart today. I invite you to come inside. Come in, Lord Jesus the Christ, and save my life. Receive me today as a child of God. Forgive all my sins and write my name in the book of life. I give myself to you. my spirit, my soul, my body. Receive me, Jesus the Christ. Now, the devil, the blood of Jesus is against you. I command you now to leave me. I do not belong to you. I am God's property. Leave my life. I disassociate myself from you. I renounce every evil covenant I have entered in with you. In the name of Jesus the Christ, I have received salvation. I am a child of God. Amen. Okay, let's meditate.
I am a messenger of light. I am a pilgrim on the way of love. I do not walk alone, but I know myself as one with all great souls, and one with them in service. Their strength is mine. This strength I claim. My strength is theirs, and this I freely give. A soul, I walk on earth. I represent the One. The past has gone. I am that past. It makes me what I am. The future comes. I also am the coming destiny, and therefore I am that. past. The future colors that which is. I make the future also by my present knowledge of the past and the beauty of the present. And therefore I am that I am. Within the circle of the will of God I stand. Without the radius of the world of glamour I take my place. And there I stand. Before the open door that just reveals a different lighted way, I take my stand. Before the presence, I will take my place, and there will firmly stand. And stand I see. Love is the incentive of our aspiration on the path. Love is the substance of our living in the world. Love is the light and the light of freedom from all creatures. Love pulses through the universe in a divine rhythm. Love is the consciousness of God. May the holy ones whose disciple I am show me the light I seek. May all mankind, may all humanity of all knowledge, may all light on earth make manifest the soul in all things, all life. I invoke the radiant golden sun to manifest the thread of the soul into the kingdoms of the elementals, into the kingdoms of the vegetables, the animals, into the astral plane. I invoke all humanity to become the caretakers of the kingdom of God. I invoke the will of God as the soul. I stand before the judgment seat of my soul. I am that soul. All love and light am I serve the world and lose myself in service. This is my life, and this is the way that I will tread until the day be with us all. Consciousness of humanity, the family of humanity, to bring forth points of energy within themselves, inaugurating certain new techniques in work and in modes of communication. I invoke the group of telepathic communicators. I invoke the group of trained observers. I invoke the group of magnetic healers. I invoke the group of the educators of this new age. I invoke the group of political organizers. I invoke the group of the workers in the field of religion. I invoke the group of scientific servers. I invoke the group of psychologists. I invoke the group of financiers and economists. I invoke all creative workers as the new group. I invoke the externalization of the inner existing of conditions within these groups through the manifestation and the externalization of the avatar. Okay, just relax. Okay, you can open your eyes. So I'm just going to show this one more time. If you know anything about the Bible, you must be aware of Adam and Eve and their first mother and father. Yeah. And the process of their life after Satan and the curse, which I'm helping you to alleviate, because its origin begins that far back and leaves all of you in a position where it's very difficult to step out of Babylon and enter into paradise.
very difficult. And because everything that happened to Adam and Eve was the defiling of God. Yeah. So, thou shalt not have any other God but me. Talking to Satan wasn't a good idea. Yeah. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, including trees. Yeah. Tree of knowledge that glowed and had all this wonderful shit. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. That means question. That means to consider yourself to be equal. Yeah. And when you think you're equal, you question. Yeah. And you lower God's image, God's information. You reinterpret it. Yeah. That makes you God, and now God's a student. God has to listen to your shit. Yeah. And you don't, you're left behind. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That means God created this earth and the sun that rotates around it and the days that you experience when you wake up. So by going through that process, if you keep all of this, know Lord God created everything, 7 days. We have 7 days. We live through that creation every week. Does that make sense? We live through creation every week. Yeah. It's not then, back then. It's now. We are always living through God's creation. God created it so that we would experience it. God gives everything to us. So God gave us 7 days every week. Gave us days to remember, broke it up into 365 days, everything has a consistency to it that comes around every year. Yeah. And that process is just to remember that every day, and don't take any day as boring or any day as not special. Every day is special. God is creating every day. So how you deal with God's effort of creation, on a day-to-day basis, and your Babylonian judgment and thinking mind and switching the evidence and switching the circumstances is constantly creating a scenario to where you don't recognize the Sabbath. You're not really sure what is a holy day. And now you got Christmas and you got Easter and you have all these pagan. You're in a pagan world. And you're naming it as God. So all these things in the Ten Commandments are things that we're living in our culture. And we're defiling the Ten Commandments in our culture. Yeah. Because we don't have a holy day, not one. We think it's Sunday, maybe it's Saturday. What the heck, we don't do it anyway. If we go, we only go for 3 hours, 2 hours max. We actually go to a church to get it over with so we can go out to breakfast and drink by mid-afternoon, go to a football game. So then honor thy mother and father. Well, that didn't work out very well for Cain and Abel. Yeah. And that led to killing. And then that led to adultery. If you read the Bible, it led to adultery. And then it led to stealing. Yeah, Babylon. When they go to Babylon, you can't imagine all that went on in Babylon. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Yeah. In Babylon, everybody was an astrologer. So as an astrologer, you bear false witness against everybody as an astrologer, or as a medium, or a person who reads palms, or any of that. You're bearing false witness. Yeah. And then, thou shalt not covet. Well, the whole thing builds you up a desire body you can't get out of. So now, everybody wants to be Cain. Yeah. They don't want to be Abel. They want to be Cain. Yeah. They want to get to the top. They want to have all those energies. Yeah. So there's everything that comes through our life. Yeah. Everything that's in the Bible, everything it talks about, all those things are real. Yeah? And they're reoccurring every day. They're reoccurring. I know it sounds strange. It sounds like, well, that was like 2,000 years ago. No. It doesn't work that way. Yeah? It's now. Yeah? God is omnipresent, omniscience, omniscience. Yeah? So you got to realize that 7 days is sacred days. What is God? There's only one God. What is all this it says in the Bible? All this it says in the Ten Commandments is to save us from all that we've already got going on, all the way back to the fall that took place with Lucifer, not with Adam and Eve, but Lucifer. And Lucifer is still consistently the tempter, the adulterer. Everything that it says on the negative side, the killer, the liar, the thief, the covenant, all those things that get inside of people, that's Lucifer. Yeah. And once that's in, you got to get it out. It's the only way. And the only way to do that is to take what is a sin and get rid of it. Stop sinning. Yeah. And turn it into a strength. And that's your day-to-day reality. Your day-to-day reality is to make sure not one of these things manifest in your being. And it's really, really uncomfortable because you don't really know, where does it come in? How do I, is it my emotions? Is it my anger? Is my personality? Yeah, it's all those things. All those things are expressions of things that actually make people weak. And those weaknesses, if you don't do things strong, if you're not a strong person with strong character that has a relationship of patience and peace and understanding and compassion and empathy, those are not hard things. Those, harsh, aggressive things. Yeah, they're soft, loving, kind, gentle things. That's what you got to develop. That's where strength comes in, to develop those things. Not the other side of what you think is strength. Yeah? Push a person around, get your way, get what you want out of life, all that stuff. That's not strength. Yeah? Okay, that's it. Enjoy. Thank you.